Hey,
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, of
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
course.
I'd love to just start by just hearing a little brief history about your life. I've heard the story about, you moving to America at a younger age, and just wanted to hear a little bit from your perspective, the timeline of how this all went down.
So I moved to the USA. I was 10. I'm originally from Brazil. I'm from Goiás, which is in the Midwest of Brazil. So I grew up in Goiás, and then my mom moved to United States in 98. And in 2003 I moved here, and my mom used to live in New York, East Harlem, and then I just moved here. So it was a big like culture shift for me because where I'm from is kind of country Brazil area, and I moved to like straight up Manhattan, New York, which was like a lot of buildings and a lot of like. So it was a very different to me, and the language barrier too. The good thing is that the community that I grew up was full of like Latin, so
Mm.
Spanish and Portuguese is close. It's not like the same, but you could understand each other a little bit. So that's how I also learned Spanish. End up learning Spanish with my Latin friends. And after that, my mom moved to back to Brazil, and I moved to New Jersey, and I grew up there, and I lived with my godmother, and I lived to New Jersey until I finished high school, and I went back to Brazil.
Did you ever consider moving back with her Brazil when your mother originally went back, or was the plan always to stay until after high
No, the
school?
plan was me to move back. I did went back a couple times, like went back and forth, but as soon as I went there, so it was really different for me because once I moved here, I kind of like couldn't fit there anymore. So I was kind of like,
Mm.
oh, everybody from Brazil will see me different. They will look at me and they will think like, you're not from here, right? Or kind of like I was different. I would say something different. Like it's just like a language thing and more like the way you just once you go to another country and live there for a while, it's almost like your mind changes a little bit. And once you go back, it's almost like everybody from there noticed that you'd have something that is different. So I was never like easy for me to like do that as a teenager. So I always preferred to stay here. So once I was here, I would be like more comfortable, more adapted to like the American lifestyle than to living in Brazil back as a teenager.
And at what point in your life did you decide that you wanted to be a fighter, or at least start to pursue that?
So I always did martial arts. I started at 6 because I'm the youngest of three boys, and I have a sister. So my brothers were my first bullies. Everybody that have brothers know what I'm talking about. So my brothers used to like bully me, and I'm little, so my brothers were bigger than me too, and they're older and bigger. So I always grew up kind of like with a little like attitude or something, and and it was kind of good because once I moved to New York and New Jersey, I was bullied a lot.
Mhm.
So that part of my life. So because of that, it kind of like made me a little tougher, and but I always did martial arts, and because of that, um, when I moved back to Brazil after high school, I stayed there and I wanted to do like martial arts again, but just for fun, just because I love jujitsu. I started doing jujitsu. I was 17 when I went back to Brazil. So at that time, I met my coach Muzila, and we're talking one day, and he just said to me, and I just said like, "Oh man, I wish I could do this as a, like just do this for a living." And I was like, and as a career and whatever. And he's like, "And what do you think you can?" And I was just like, "Oh no, this is for like other people, right? This is like for people from America, from Hollywood, whatever." Like I don't even know what I thought, but he just cut me off. He's like literally said like, no, 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 no. If you want it, if you're willing to pay the price, you can have it, but only under those conditions. So at that moment, I could never think that I couldn't do it anymore. So that's when I decided to pursue my dream and actually like become a amateur and then a pro. here I am.
And what would you say are some of the positives and negatives of chasing your dream? Because of course it gives you that freedom to just know deep down, I did what I wanted to pursue, but of course there is going to be some downsides to that, whether, you're pursuing being a doctor or a fighter
Yeah.
or a chef, whatever it may be.
So in my specific situation, the hardest part was that in Brazil would be very difficult or trip like a lot more difficult than it is for me to pursue my dreams living in the United States. And everybody that is an immigrant and everybody that lived in especially South America and other countries over there understand what I'm saying and know that pursuing their dreams in their own homeland, it's not the same. You don't have the same opportunities. Sometimes you fight the toughest of the toughest. I fought one of the amateur fights. I fought the Brazilian national Muay Thai champion at that year, at that specific time. The guy was like big. It was a whole thing. So all I'm saying is like you fighting tough guys, no visibility, no opportunities. Now I'm glad, but it's 7 years that I'm in the United States. But now it's starting to other events go to Brazil and give opportunities to new up and coming fighters. But when I was there, it was not the case, and I just decided to move here because my last fight in Brazil, that I fought in Brazil, I made 126 reais. Yep, dollars, like dollars. Like if you translate to the money to dollars, it'll be $126. That's what I made my last fight in Brazil, and they don't cover like insurance and whatever, like nothing, none of that. You know what I'm saying? And you're fighting tough guys and all that. Um, so all this stuff made me. My coach came to me after my last fight because I was kind of disappointed. I was like, Coach, I have a daughter now. My daughter was just born recently at the time. And I was like, I have a daughter now, and I have to, just be a man as well. Not just be, I know I want to pursue my dream, but I can't be irresponsible. And he's like, Look, you want me to give you an advice? You speak English, you grew up in the United States, you have contacts there. Um, I have a friend in Arizona. I can link you up with him, and which is Jair. He's Ryan Bader's head coach, Jair Lorenzo. He is the Kimura head coach, and he was friend with my coach back in Brazil, back in their young days when they trained together. Um, so they're friends and they link us up, and I just moved to Arizona to pursue my dreams. The hardest part is that I have to stay away from my culture, stay from my family. If I could pursue my dreams um with the same conditions that I can in here, like the same visibility, the same opportunities, the same thing, the same chances of like doing this, I would have done in Brazil. But everybody that, especially from Latin South America, understand that this is not the reality for us. And I had to leave everything behind: my family, my daughter. She was like 2.5 when I left, and now she understands better. But at the first, was really hard for me to leave her behind and not, not be close to her all these young days of her life, and be here grinding and working on my chance to pursue my dreams and make my dreams reality.
And how often do you get to see your daughter?
Well, right after I moved here in 2018.
Okay.
So after I moved here, there was COVID, so there was all that situation. But I moved here in 2018, and I went to Brazil twice ever since. So taking consideration the COVID situation, I usually go once a year. Now that things are like stable and there's no like and no situation with anything, I go there every year. Try to go like once a year, see them. This year they're coming here in the end of the year. So she's coming with my mom, and I'm very excited to so she can kind of like meet where I live, meet my gym, meet my reality like in a real like experience. She knows because I talk to her every day, and she's 8 now, so she's
Mhm.
very like smart and communicative. But um when she comes, she's gonna like kind of like understand and feel how that is life is.
And have you ever wanted her to get her visa and to come live over here with you, or did you feel that it was always better for her to just live in Brazil?
So at first, right, like before this time that I moved here, because I moved here in 2018, right? And when I moved here, I didn't have anything. I sold everything that I had in Brazil. I didn't have much, but everything I had, like everything that I had in my name, I had like I had a house, and I had like a motorcycle and a car that was not. So I got some money and I brought with me, but I literally left everything. I fought with my family. Like I'm very family oriented, so I'm very close to my parents. So my parents are very traditional. My mom is more of a dreamer like me, but my dad is very like tough, traditional dad. So I argue with my dad multiple times about it because he wanted me to work and he didn't want me to like pursue dreams. For him, it's like madness, you know.
Mhm.
So it's like I was like, Dad, I want to fight, I want to like pursue my dreams and whatever. Ever since my coach told me that I told you in the beginning, I could never think that I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't, like I sometimes I just trying to convince myself that I couldn't, and I was like, no, man, you know what, that's just for some other people, that's just for like you know, maybe you should just work and whatever. And I couldn't, and I just hate, like I'll just be upset. So long story short, I had a good job because I speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So in
Mhm.
Brazil, that's very valuable, and I could get jobs in very like good places that I'll make good money. And at the moment that I was in Brazil, I was working for the government of my city in Brazil. So I would make good money, have good benefits and stuff. But I left everything and moved to Arizona to pursue my dreams. I didn't have car in the beginning. I didn't have documentation. I just had a visa, so I couldn't kind of like work. I couldn't like. I just had to like do some part time stuff, and you know, I was not making a lot of money, and it was a really hard. So I preferred that, going to your question, that she stayed in Brazil at this time. But right now, the things are in a better position. I feel like I build a little bit of a name for myself with um, the work that I've done. Of course, it's not the same because I had to just grab the opportunities that was given to me. I couldn't just kind of like, oh no, I can't take this, or I can't take that, or you know what I'm saying? I couldn't
Mhm.
just be picky about it. I just had to like whatever was thrown my way, I would have to just to like get it and go with it. So like I said, at the time in the summer of Arizona, riding a bicycle in the sun, not having a car, training, working in a restaurant till late nights. It was really hard. And but I'm grateful for the experience, and I feel like now God put me in a better position, gave me more experience, more maturity to um to just respond to what's gonna come my way next. And so I just feel better. And if she decide, me and her mom have an agreement that if she wants to come move here, like by her own decision, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
influence her in any way. I'm just gonna treat her like I would treat her normally, and her mom do the same. And if she decide to want to live here in the future for better opportunities and better chances in the world in general, we are both agreed to. She is allowed to, and she can move here and chase and work and just live with daddy, chase these crazy dreams.
And so, how would you describe your MMA career, your professional career, MMA, thus far compared to your expectations when you first started?
So, you know, when I first started, I didn't have a lot of like people believing in me in
Mhm.
general, but the people that believed in me was the most important people. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, my mom. One day, I remember that me and my dad was very like his opinion was very important to me. So I wanted for him to bless me and say that he wanted me to pursue my dreams and he believed in me. But in general, like instead of that, he said that dreams don't fill your belly, dreams won't pay your bills, And one point, I were like arguing. I was like, "Dad, but that's what I want to do. But that's what's you know get me on fire. That want to like chase my dreams." And he's like, "Do this. Grab your dreams. Go to the supermarket. Pick all the groceries that you want. And once you go pay, you say, 'I want to pay with my dreams.' And then you tell and you see what they're gonna tell you." And
Hmm.
it was really hard for me at the beginning because he didn't believe it in me. But one day I sat down with my mom, and I was really like conflicted with that situation. And I told her like, "Mom, what do you think I should do?" Because my mom is more like me. Like I said, she's like a dreamer. She believes in like you should pursue your dreams. You should work hard for your dreams, but you should. She told me this, and then that's when I decided that I was gonna do that. She said, "I prefer that you go pursue your dreams and fail, but then you tried your best, you did the best you could. Then you stay here and you're always wondering and guessing and thinking in your head, what if I've tried?" You know? So because of that, I was like, after we talked about that, I went to church and I prayed about it. And on the way back, I was like convinced. I was like, that's what I need to do. So after that, I quit my job, decided, left everything, against my dad's. My dad couldn't talk to me for a week. Like when I told him that I quit my job, he didn't talk to me for a week. Like I know he loves me. I'm not saying he didn't do that out of like discouragement, or like I see where he coming from, because
Hmm.
my dad was really poor and he comes from a poor family. And so I understand that he was not coming from like a bad place. He was coming from, I love you and I want you to succeed. But like I said, I'm glad that I did what I did, that I left everything behind. The hard part was like stay time away from my family, my culture, my dream, and my daughter. But um, I'm happy where I'm at. I've been working hard. Like I said, it's not like I could choose the opportunities that was thrown my way. I didn't have good contacts. I didn't have nothing. I didn't have nothing. I just had me and my dream and my courage. So like when I got here, I made friends. I was just honest and I just talked to people and I met good people. Like I said, the Lord was in charge of all the steps on the way. And I just felt, now that things happen, I see that God's hand and everything. And I'm glad that things happened the way it happened. It gave me some losses on the way, but I feel like those losses were important for me to like mature, and also to see mentally and everything, like to build me where I'm at mentally and physically, and not be stubborn and be more like flexible, maybe more like open to outside ideas and people's ideas, and not be so like close on my own, and not just be so me, like thinking like the way I think and open. And once I moved to the lab, it was completely different. And like I literally I usually use that as an example, that I work as a like a download software. So I download an updated version. So like I just think completely different ever since I moved there too.
And so your next opportunity is going to be with the UFL against Kyle Estrada. What do you know about him, and what are you expecting from him in the cage?
Well, I know about him is that he's a tough guy. He's
Mhm.
experienced too, which is that's what I wanted. I know some guys, they have like very like impressive records, but all they fought was, just someone that they expected to lose. And at one point in my career, they try to put me on that category, and I refuse to be there now because they're trying to just kind of like give me like fights that they wanted me to lose. And but I wanted him to be a tough guy because I know he's experienced. He comes from one of the greatest gyms. His coach, his gym representative is Triple C, right? That's how they call him. Like, so the guy have all the pedigree to be a great fight. Um, I'm excited. I know he's a tough guy. I know he's experienced. Um, I know what he's good at, and I know where he's bad at. Um, and where he's bad at is where I'm good at. And so because of that, I'm going to capitalize on my opportunities as much as I can and look up for the impressive finish because it's my debut on a UFL. And I know um, there's a new up and coming event giving people opportunities and up and coming fighters and up and coming talent. So I just want to like get this opportunity with both my hands and just making a statement and make sure that get what I'm looking for and probably get the finish submission as soon as I can or as soon as they give me. I'll dig to get it.
And that's an interesting thing that you said about they at one point they tried to make you that guy that is set up to lose because we see that a lot and a lot more in boxing, but in MMA too, right? Where it's a 9-0 multi-time jiu-jitsu world champion and he's going up against someone that's 3-20 and you just sit there and say, well, why would this guy that's 3-20 accept this fight, right?
Yeah. From my point of view, and also living that, for example, I'll give you an example. I was working in a restaurant part-time, like not making a lot of money. I'm grateful for the opportunity, but it's not like I could work in anything because I had to train and I didn't have a
Mm.
car, so I couldn't work anywhere far because I couldn't drive. And where I grew up in New York, New Jersey, you could get the train and stuff like that. But where I live here in Arizona, that was more like difficult for me to do that because here I'll have to like or ride a bicycle or ride with someone or get the bus and it'll take, it's very difficult. So
Yeah.
long story short, I would have to grab what was given to me, and like I said, it was good because it worked on my um skills, social skills with my like, kind of like talking my to get the opportunities that I need to meet people, to introduce myself, to tell people who I was. And with that, I made a lot of friends, and I feel like I have a good community here in Arizona, and a lot of people like me and they support me. They send me messages, and it's not even people from Brazil, which is already like people that support me, but people from here. So it makes me happy. But fighting is hard already, like from there and training full time, and especially when they're training with like high level guys that are dedicated, guys that are like they don't have to worry about paying bills. I'm not saying that with disrespect to the guys that do that, because if I could, I would have too. If I could, I would. I totally would. If I could, just like someone pay my bills and I just have to train, I promise that I would, and I'll be very dedicated to it. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not complaining about people that do that, but I'm just saying that for me, that was not my reality. So I had to
Mhm.
work with what I have. In Brazil, we play a lot of cards. And once I talk with my parents a lot, and once I was talking to my mom, and she said that, and it would literally like my mindset took me because that was where I was at the time. She said that life will give you the like a card hand, like life will give you a hand, and you would just have to get what you get and play with it. Like you can't just be like, oh no, I don't want this hand, I want another one. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
we're just talking like normal conversation, and with that, I thought about that every time. So I just play with what was given me, and but it's harder. But people, promoters, a lot of times, most of the times, don't think about the fighter's perspectives. But I understand. I'm not throwing any shade or like any disrespect on anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to say from like they think as a business, but us as a fighter have another reality. And whoever is grinding with us, and people in the gym, and people like that share the stuff with us knows what we go through. But usually you just got to get what is given to you, but you just got to make the correct adjustments. And that's what I decided to do. That's me and my friend. I have a friend that is in the same journey as I am. And he's really good too, and we both sat down. We said like, bro, we need to like stop this right now. This is not right. We need to correct the mistakes. We need to fix what's wrong and make the right decisions and move from there, because we know we're good. We can't be here. We can't be losing these fights that we're losing because we're getting fights with 5 days notice, lose 25 pounds or like things like that, just fighting like oh, it's a opportunity for the championship, and you have to fight this tough guy with like 8 days notice. So it's different. You're not gonna say no to that, especially in a fight game. Everybody that understands and respects know that how it is. You just don't say, but you're good for the appointment, but you're not ready for the appointment. Make sense?
Hmm.
So, yeah, just gotta make the correct adjustments and go from there. That's what I did.
And last question I have for you, what are your overall goals for your fighting career? What do you want to get done before one day, way down the road, you do end your career?
So, so this is funny, but it's like my personal dream is like I wanted to like provide for my family, do what I love the most. For in this moment in my life is fighting, but I know in general is going to be involved in martial arts because I love martial arts. I love jujitsu. I'm a black belt jujitsu, and I love the art itself, like the art of jujitsu, the respect, the culture, the everything. Um, I want to be invested in that. So for my MMA career, I want to make it as deep as I can make. I feel like I belong eventually in a UFC. I just need to correct the mistakes that I need to correct, and I did that. I changed my full time training camp. I changed my everything around my fighting career, my job, my work, everything. I'm in a better place now emotionally and everything, and I just feel like I want to get to the UFC eventually, but just with the fair shot. I fought most of the guys that are in the UFC now on the flyweight division. I fought all of them, but I fought them in short notices, in like 5 days notices, and I gave them like 3 round split decisions. You know what I'm saying? So, and I feel like I'm good if I have the right chance, the right opportunity, and I'm going to prove that in this UFL 6 opportunity that I got. I'm going to show that with the full camp, with the training camp correct. I'm going to make the adjustments correct. I'm going to go there and show what I'm capable of, and probably in the future, if God's will, get the opportunity that I'm looking for.
And that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to the upcoming fight and looking forward to the rest of your career.
Let's go. Thank you. Appreciate it for the time too, the opportunity to be here, the visibility and everything. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to Friday. Just let's go.
Thanks again for your time. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, man.